How well does McFarlane Toys handle the Batman Arkham series version of Batman? Originally, I was going to do a silly little gag title like, I'm reviewing 4 Arkham figures because Todd said he'd let my family go if I do, but that didn't end up panning out because, like his boss fight in Arkham Knight, Deathstroke has left me severely disappointed. Dunno what the shit's going on over with the Postal Service on that one. He was projected to arrive first well more than a week ago. Not really that big of a thing. It was just a joke. And I mean, obviously I have proven here that I genuinely tried, so we all know that joke would fall apart due to how generous and merciful Todd McFarlane would be towards the extenuating circumstances. Please, Todd. So with slightly fewer figures to look at, but still really wanting to get a good topic out of all of this, I decided to lean into it and do a more specific, in-depth analysis. A lot of people have been talking about the Arkham version of Batman recently. Specifically, what makes a good depiction of that version of that character. There's a pretty justified reason for it, too. Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League has really divided the fan base as to whether it is or isn't a good depiction. Personally, I think there's a lot of nuance that has to be taken into account to answer that question. Which we don't currently have because they released half a story mode and rolled the credits so they could drag us along for the most egregious live service bullshit I have ever seen in my gaming library, only for the first season of additional content to do literally nothing new with such little story progression that I can genuinely say capitalism has gone too far this time. Yeah, I suppose it's weird I drew the line here when it also murdered people for fruit, too. And some other things. I probably don't have time for that today. So in the midst of all this furor, perhaps even because of it, or perhaps because repainting the same figure multiple times is easy money, baby, McFarlane has just released the Prestige suit, which was an unlockable gold-tinged suit if you completed Batman Arkham Knight 240%. This got me thinking about just how well the Arkham line of figures represents all of McFarlane Toys. The good, the bad. Oh, for fuck's sake, Jason. With clarity of mind, an excuse to buy yet another of these goddamn cries for help, someone stop me, this is addictive behavior, and a lack of Deathstroke, it's the perfect time to ask, how well does Todd do the thing with this Batman? I literally opened the video with the question, which means I spent that long catching up to myself. Holy hell. Now we cannot just consider the way we consider any old Batman, because the Arkhamverse genuinely crafted a unique spin on him. This is a Batman who pushes himself so much further past the limits other versions would hit that we genuinely get to see both the highest victories and the lowest consequences that come along with that. This isn't just a Batman checking the boxes to include the classic gadgets he always has. He's a trailblazer using original, but somehow still instantly definitive gadgets that feel perfectly suited for the character. He has his own idiosyncrasies and his own quirks, and he feels like no other Batman. Did they capture that? Maybe not so much on the first swing, looking at things in game series order. Arkham Asylum got represented fairly early on, in just Wave 2 of figures McFarlane released for the DC multiverse after Mattel lost the license, with both Batman and Joker. Mr. J's the better of the two, but he isn't Batman, get the fuck out of here. Batman's interesting, as there's the start of a great figure here, really undone by some key flaws and a few baffling details. I'll open him and we'll explore. This fella obviously has a lot of attention to detail. Shade you'll sometimes see thrown at McFarlane's figures is exemplified well with the quip, "Those are just statues with joints." It's a quip on how So many moving joints often still don't have great posability in these, but it also highlights a positive in that we tend to see much better specific, detailed detail than other companies' figures in this price range, or at least the retail price range. Banecheck's Charlie foolishly wasn't paying enough attention for the first couple of years McFarlane were doing these, and now has to pay aftermarket prices for the figures he missed. Not to mention the forced scarcity on some figures means they will be available for approximately 12 minutes maximum at retail price, and then scalpers and sure people will be forced to pay said aftermarket prices anyway. But if you actually see these on a shelf, these really do a lot within that price range. Although also some of them are now arbitrarily $10 more without sufficient justification. And also, there's a wave right now that is nearly double the price of comparable figures, and I guarantee they're just testing this shit to see if they can keep perpetrating highway robbery and getting away with it. But I digress. Asylum Batman obviously shows a lot of this high detail. The rivets and grooves of the batsuit are molded in, the metal agework on the boots and gloves is solid, but then his face is just kinda fucked up. What happened here? Why is his chin like that? What is wrong with his eyes? Like, I have to have him at an angle to see what they were going for, and then... nope, I lost it. The bat symbol also gets a little funky in adaptation. Technically the shape is fine. Asylum used a weird little smooshed, stretched version like this, but by having it raised instead of closer integrated with the chest just makes the shape feel inaccurate in a knee-jerk reaction when it actually isn't. The jointed statue also strikes a bit here, where the elbows are single-jointed when even most of the company's others are double-jointed. And for a lot of people, molded capes are just too limiting when on display. I often like molded capes for the detail, but since this one is in a neutral standing position instead of something more dynamic, I'll agree here. It limits what we can do. His cape is practically the coolest visual technical achievement in the game with how well it moves, and this doesn't capture this all that well. The gadgets perplex me. Not because they suck, they look great, but I'll get there. The batarangs are fine. In the games they have this very iconic look, and they fold in and out for storage, so these are both perfect for what they are doing. The other two, though, are not in Arkham Asylum. These are from Arkham Origins. What the official description calls the grapnel launcher is actually the remote claw he steals from Deathstroke, and the more technically correct bomb canister is the glue grenade. Technically, his concussion detonator also looks like that when he picks it up the first time, but then it looks different when he throws them, but that's an Origins problem and not currently relevant. They're cool inclusions, but they are nowhere in the relevant game. I'm sure it's just because I am in the wrong online circles at the wrong point in time, but I have never seen this discussed anywhere. I get how very casual audience members could miss this, but Arkham fans have no chill. There was a dude back in the heyday who went on lengthy tirades on every forum or YouTube comment section raging that Arkham City's batsuit was actually purple, you guys. I am so surprised people are being so sane about this. The blurb also mentions an extra fist, singular, which never materialized, making me wonder who actually edits these things. There were a couple of repainted variants for this one. One was a 2-pack with Joker that just makes them both kinda inexplicably messy, and one is just bronze. Really trying to reinforce that statue thing, eh, McFarlane? Both of those really come across as the type of repaint that doesn't really do anything to justify its own existence other than being cheaper than making new figures, so I have negative interest in those. Did McFarlane handle Asylum Batman well? Not really, though I suppose it could have been worse. Arkham Knight also got a figure released that same year, but I've already stated that I'm sticking to game order here, so I'll come back to it. For the Arkham City Batmans, I already owned them prior, so there's no unboxing you get to see. If you like that kind of stuff, feel free to check out the numerous other times I've done so here on my channel to wildly mixed success. This Batman is in a fascinating place due to both some noteworthy advancements in time, but also a lot of overlapping elements with the last one. He was released in 2022, 2 years later, but because the source material had a lot of carryover between batsuits in relevant games, this one reuses much of the base model. This is almost entirely a good thing, as the detailing on that base model is what I liked best, but it does also mean Batman is still saddled with single-jointed elbows. Also, the belt doesn't get upgraded, meaning the pouches themselves are inaccurate. Thankfully, less subtle details like the gauntlets are fully overhauled, and the shape of Arkham City's bat symbol handles the 3D space, looking much better. His cape is also in a blown back by the wind pose, which gives a bit better display presence than last time. If you're going to do a sculpted cape, this is what I want to see out of it. He does lose some metallic detailing in the paint job the Asylum version had, so that, weirdly, is the one place this version takes second. His face is the biggest improvement. No longer does his chin peter out too narrowly, with a better appearance of girth. And rather than trying to paint weird Looney Tunes eyes in there, they are just white lenses. Technically, he does typically show his eyes in these games, but this is what it looks like when he switches to detective vision. I wager this was either done as a quality control measure or even just to save costs, but since most of us are guilty of abusing the detective mode in this series, it's not like it's unreasonable to justify this that way. He is surprisingly gadget-light, however, having only his Batclaw, correctly identified in the official blurb. Since he was part of a Build-A-Figure wave with big ol' Solomon Grundy pieces, perhaps this just meant the accessory budget was spent on zombie legs. But we already have to pay the proportional extra cost of 1/5 of a figure in BAF pricing, so that's a little egregious for a famously gadget-heavy version of the Bruce. The grapnel looks spot on though, and is easy to get in his hand and surprisingly effective at staying in there, despite the shape lacking a more ergonomic grip. So while I would like to see more, I at least cannot complain about what we do have. There was only one other repaint of this figure, where the whole set of Build-A-Figures got a nearly completely grayscale look, barring a single individual color on specific details. This was based on the amazing promotional art for the game, and much like the famous piece used for the game's cover, Batman splashes red for his bloody nose and single fist he just wiped it with. This is certainly a striking figure. Part of me wonders what it would have looked like if they went true black and white instead of black and gray, even lightening the black elements as the promo art sort of teetered on just how white to make Batman's cowl, but it's so sharp I can't bitch all that hard. The single-jointed elbow honestly makes me sadder with this version, as there is not a way to have his fist wiping the blood from his face. All things considered, I don't hesitate to say McFarlane handled Arkham City's Batman damn well. For Arkham Origins, nothing. We got no Batman. 2 gadgets, sure, but no Batman figure. If you're watching this in the future and we've actually gotten one at some point, maybe stop and consider the linear passage of time before leaving rude comments. Or not, I genuinely will just thank the engagement. So McFarlane clearly dropped the ball on an Arkham Origins Batman. 4 of 4 games, Batman Arkham Knight. Open Sesame. Despite being the same year as Asylum, someone realized very quickly they needed to course correct, and really put their best foot forward here. The source material has one of the most detailed and intricate versions of the Batsuit, and this one quite believably conveys that. I can't stop and highlight all the number of ways the sculpt shows various textures and materials, because that would make my video very boring, and all of my audience would click away to watch, Fortnite porn or something, I don't know. The point is, he looks great everywhere. Even though his eyes are perhaps just a little intense looking, he really sees some shit in that game, so it only adds to the figure. My minimal complaints are his unpainted abs, which should match the color of the rest of the armor on his torso, and the big gap in his shoulder, which McFarlane usually doesn't suffer from. But the fact that this followed so closely from that first one is jaw-dropping. His gadgets have picked up the slack from the other two. His Batarang, while quite similar, actually gets a unique piece, as this is the remote control Batarang, including a little bit of printing for the bat symbol that one has in the middle. It's cool that the blurb explicitly got this one correct, because it is weird for the next one. Batman's iconic explosive gel applicator from all of these games. The blurb doesn't mention that one, but by process of elimination, behold, a sword. Finally, his remote electric charge, for when you want to shock a bitch over there. These three are truly great picks to represent the arsenal this version of this Batman possesses and utilizes. At the time, there was a variant paint mostly in bronze, but it was a bit of a brighter golden bronze than the Asylum figures, and the black crest really stands out in a cool way. So even just leaning into the statue thing, this one excels. Not worth the extortionate aftermarket price, though. Obviously, this one just got the new version, so montage. This one somehow improves on an already impeccable figure. The printed logo has the lines where the in-game suit has distinct moving plates to increase mobility. His eyes have much more detailing without looking like a failed anime character like the first one. His abs didn't get overlooked this time, and his lighter gray coloring really emphasizes the pristine feeling this one is going for. All of the gadgets likewise got this gorgeous gold paint, and while my first instinct was wondering if they'd look better with simple gold accents, they fully won me over. Weirdly, the blurb gets even more inaccurate on the gadgets, describing them as the batarang, grapple launcher, and sonic remote. What? It is unambiguous to me. With this version, McFarlane truly gets the Arkham Knight version of, oh god damn it, here we go again.